Hi, my name is Jake. Now let's talk music. Alright, so it's 11 o'clock on Tuesday night, the 17th. Um, and, well, today I wanted to talk about the off season, which, this is this is J. Cole's sixth studio album, and I think ninth project that I've talked about. And for the first time since Born Sinner, he actually has a studio album with credited features. So, going along with that, I feel like every single feature did their job. It was a great album experience, but at the same time, I'm when I listen to this, it just doesn't sound as good as something like KOD's, something like For Your Eyes Only, something like 2014 Forest Hills Drive, which he truly did those albums by himself, except for some producers came in to help him with that. But other than that, there was no features. He did all the music, like all the rapping himself. Which I'm not mad about him having features. It just doesn't, like, it isn't the same quality as some of his best albums. I mean, three of his three best albums are the albums where there's no features. But even so, I still really love this album. I mean, before even like listening to it from start to finish, I had listened to 11 of the 12 songs before, just not while listening to the album. I like heard them while my Spotify was on shuffle, so I already knew what most of the sounds and like everything going on was. Only one that I hadn't listened to before, it was either Applying Pressure or Punch in the Clock. I don't remember, but every single song is a pass. Like everything is amazing. But a couple of my favorites, I love the starter to the album, 95 South. I love Amari, which there's a story behind that, which I'll get to. Uh, I would say my favorite off of the album is My Life. Just amazing. 100 Mil. Just, you get like J. Cole singing, and it's really good. Also, Pride is the Devil, which kind of funny. I've seen like this video today where he was doing the 10-year anniversary show at Madison Square Gardens, and he's performing Pride as the Devil, and he tries to do Lil Baby's verse, but he didn't know it, and just listening to that, it was kind of funny. I actually posted it on my Instagram story, like my Jake Talks Music Instagram story. Uh, which one is it? Is it? I think it's Let Go My Hand. Uh, if I'm thinking of the right song, that instrumental is insane. I I might have the wrong song. Uh, and then yeah, those are like my favorites off of the album. But I also just want to talk about like uh the meaning behind both the name The Off Season and the meaning behind the album. So when he released this, it was 2021, and the last time he had put out a full project was 2018 with KOD. And one of the things that J. Cole like struggled with, which he talked about in his mini like documentary that he posted, applying pressure, the off season. That's the title of it. I might put in the description. Y'all could go watch that. It pretty much is a breakdown of everything that this album means to him and like what went into making this album. and also a little bit about J. Cole's personal life. I watched it today after listening to the album a couple of times, and there's a lot of good information in there. And I think my favorite part is the opening where he's talking to 21 Savage, and pretty much explaining what the off season means to him. So, like growing up, J. Cole, he was a big basketball fan. He loved playing basketball himself, and that's why when you think of some of the mixtapes and some of the albums, you get a lot of sports references, like the warm up, Friday Night Lights, Sideline Story, the off season, and then also there's the come up, which it's not just a sports reference, but it also is linked to sports, and also his future album, which he's been talking about since 2018, still hasn't dropped it. But the fall off, which again, like the come up, it's not exactly sports reference, but it still has to do with like the fall off of a great player or something like that. But when you think of like the off season, when you think of that for a player, that's when their season's done. They so speaking of like a basketball player, they spend winter and a little bit of spring. It depends on what level of basketball it is playing basketball, but then once the season ends, you take a little bit of a break, but then you go right back into putting that hard work in, like getting ready for this upcoming season. And it's true to all sports. I mean, even for me when I played football, you play during the fall months and some of the winter months. Uh, it depends on how good of a team you are and how deep of a playoff run you do. But I mean, you could go up into I don't know if for high school you can go into December, but you'll definitely go into November depending on how far you go in the playoffs. But after that, you spend the rest of your winter like you spend the first part of like January like resting, like taking a break. And then after that, it's like we're right back into getting ready for this upcoming season. You're going to the weight room, you're doing practices on the field, you're doing practices in the barns. Like you're getting ready for this upcoming year. Like some of the like best teams start practicing and getting ready for the upcoming year uh, earlier than most. Like I know in the state of Ohio you can't start like practicing until June, but there's like some leeway within because if you're doing like winter lifts and spring lifts, then you can go and like say you have a facility like my high school they had a facility where there was a weight room and there's like a barn attached to it. Like it's not an actual barn, but it still has astroturf inside of it, so you can still practice these things, like running routes, going through drills, like everything. You have the sleds for like the linemen, like everything. You're still getting your work in, but it's not totally 100% like allowed, but still. But you're going through that. That's pretty much what the off season is. And what J. Cole took this as is like from 2018 to like 2019, 2020, he like took a break from music. He really wasn't doing all too much. He dropped a couple of features, a couple of songs, but mostly he was just relaxing, chilling. And then when it came to like 2020, 2021, he was like, all right, I gotta start getting ready. I gotta start doing more so I am ready for this upcoming album. And that's really why he called it the off season. He seen it as like, okay, I took a break from music for these couple of years. But now I'm like gearing up for what is to come, which that is the fall off. So really the off season is just like him like putting out a piece of work that is like getting him ready, getting like him back into music before the fall off. But then he would later on drop Might Delete Later, and the fall off might not come until he's talking about maybe putting it out before Dreamville Fest in 2025. So maybe it will come out in early 2025. I would love that. I love J. Cole's albums. Like, I, I just love J. Cole, bruh. But yeah, this was really supposed to gear up towards the fall off, but instead he put out Might Delete Later, and we know how that went. I'll talk about that in my next video. But right now, we're talking about the off season. And then, just like, uh, yeah, I mean, I pretty much described what he was getting after with the off season. So, honestly, it's a really solid track list. A lot of good features. But like I said, it still doesn't hold a candle to his best three albums. Honestly, I'm at the point of do I like this more than Born Sinner or not? It's like at that point. I really love Born Sinner, but I feel like this is a more complete project. Whereas Born Sinner, there were a couple of duds and a couple of filler songs. So I would say the off season is better than Born Sinner. I mean, Born Sinner, when you think of that, you think of the hits like Power Trip, Forbidden Fruit, She Knows, uh, Crooked Smile. Ugh, almost forgot that one. With this, there was like only one like major hit, which is Pride is the Devil. I mean, Amari also went pretty big, but the major hit off of this album is Pride is the Devil, which I love that song. Um, but yeah, it's honestly a great album, and it fits into his themes with basketball and sports references. Uh, Honestly, that's really all I have left to say about it. So next video I'll be talking about Might Delete Later. Also, upcoming. I really don't know. I might do some of like the key albums that has come out in 2024, uh, or even like mixtapes such as Alligator Bites Never Heal. I could do Samurai. I could do what else could I do? I could do the Auditorium Volume 1 since that got nominated for the Grammy. I do gotta do those Grammy albums. I'm working on it, you know? I'm gonna save like what I have left in the future for a future video. So yeah, that's all I have for right now. Until next time. Peace.